Hi guys, I hope you're doing well. I have a little bit of time to do a short live, and I would like to talk about stress, and I would like to talk about specifically the stress people with fibromyalgia experience. Why did I choose fibromyalgia? Because a lot of people around the world, and especially in North America, have these symptoms of fibromyalgia. And what do I mean by that? The symptoms are pain in the joints, in the muscles, pain when you touch the person on the skin, anxiety, also eating disorders, depression, and insomnia. So those symptoms are very typical for many diseases or many chronic conditions, and I work on a daily basis with them. And I would like to talk about the stress, the physical and the mental stress on the body, and what we can do about it. First of all, I would like you to understand the stress and the difference between the physical and the mental stress, how it manifests in the body, and what can we do about it. Very interesting theme, by the way. So let's talk about the physical stress. In my questionnaire that people fill out, I have a lot of questions about that. I have two sections about physical and mental stress, and in the physical stress, section, they answer questions like, do you have trouble swallowing? Do you have trouble breathing? You see, these are physical things. Do you feel dizzy? Does your head feels heavy? Anything that is related to physical feeling of stress, if I could say so. It includes also long hours of sleep, over 10 hours. I love long hours of sleep, and I recommend it especially for women pre, post menopause. They need 8, 9, 10 hours of sleep, but if you go off to 10 hours of sleep often, that means that we have a trouble here. We have a problem. So also we have bumping into things, falls, and I find this very, very often. And this is due to different stressors that we are experiencing during the day. These are physiological stressors, stressors from the environment, like stressors like electromagnetic stress, thermical stress, or thermal stress. We have nutritional stress, eating inappropriate food. We have also psychic stress, physical stress, all of them from the environment. So they collect in the body, and the body starts dealing with them. It has its response. They have physiological effect on the body. And what is the physiological effect? For example, we have the adrenal and the pituitary glands that are producing hormones, and they can sense those stresses, and they produce the hormones that shows to the entire body that we are now stressed. But before I go to the mental side, I would like to mention a few more things. We also have that after I ask my clients to fill out the questionnaire, I fill out this chart. And what this chart shows me, where is the stress in which system, and which part of the spine I have to work on, address with all nutrition, physical work, exercises, hydration, movement, sleep, etc. So we divide the body into zones. Each zone is related to the chakras, because from our point of view as holistic coaches, we see this as glands. The glands are in the same level as the chakras are, and they relate to the same zones. And when it comes to the central nervous system, because everything I mentioned so far as symptoms relate to the central nervous system, we usually work with the chakras at the bottom and the chakras on the top up. So at the bottom, I mean the first chakra, which is related to survival, safety, and security, which is also the tribal connection. Mentally, this is very important because we all need to stay connected with our tribe, with our surrounding, with people who raised us, with people who are our friends and our cousins and etc. This is our tribe, our little society where we exist. And also, needless to say, nowadays survival is a big problem. People worry about many things and literally about their survival. I know of very many people who have trouble putting food on the table because of the times we live in. It's quite interesting in the times where there is abundance of everything, but the way we organize our life lately, that's what happens. So the work starts with the lumbar spine, with the pelvic floor and lumbar spine. Why? Very interesting fact. Life starts in this area and life ends in this area. For life starts in this area, you understand very well what I mean. But for the ends, maybe you don't. At the moment this area starts being dehydrated, malnourished, not well mobilized, the body starts to die. Why? Because this area, the pelvic floor and the hip area, you have fluid production organs, and that fluid is moving throughout the body. It cleanses the body, it brings the nutrients, and the body extracts through this area nutrients to feed itself. So when that area malfunctions, we are really in trouble. Then we work with the next level, which is the emotional balance and the sexuality. Why emotional balance is very, very important? It's important because thoughts cause emotions, and emotions release or change our hormonal balance. Remember, I started with the pituitary gland and the adrenal gland. You see how the circle closes. So when those hormones are not at the optimum level, so we can function at our optimum level, then our body starts suffering physically, and we experience the symptoms I mentioned in the beginning: trouble breathing, trouble swallowing, head feels heavy, and etc. so on. So this is the physical part. And how do we manage the stress physically? We provide the good nutrition. We have to find our baseline for nutrition, which is the best from our body. There are steps into that process, and I posted a PDF in this group. I also explain how I work with clients to find out their baseline. And then on that baseline, they start adding on types of foods, for instance, the starchy vegetables. And then we see where the body really feels balanced with the greatest energy, and we stay there. We try to maintain that base. A part of the food is the hydration. You know very well, the body, big part of the body is water, and we need to feed water. So the problem with the water very often is that water doesn't have, the body doesn't have reservoir for water. It doesn't keep it. And if the body is being dehydrated for a very long time, this water just goes through because the body loses the ability to work with this water and to utilize it. So that's why water doesn't need digestion. Any other liquid that has color, smell, taste, it needs digestion, but water doesn't. So it goes through and we pee a lot. But if you endure this for 45 days, because it takes about 45 days to rehydrate the body, if you drink for 45 days the right amount of water for your body, then the body starts utilizing the water better, and it produces better fluids, better quality fluids, and they circulate easier throughout the body. There you go. So another thing is breathing and breathing techniques, and just recently I worked with a few clients a lot on their pelvic floor, and yes, there are breathing techniques to engage the pelvic floor, and they really felt it, the lower abdominals and the pelvic floor. It's very interesting and fun exercises to do. Then we have proper movement. Pelvic floor as construction is very complicated. It has 23 axes of movement. Never mind it looks rigid. We have the sacrum, the lumbar spine, the tailbone, and they are rigid structures, but actually they're not. They have their internal life and movement in different planes, and we need to keep that mobility in a very good state in order for that part of our body to function at its optimum, because it produces life for us. As I said, it produces fluids, the body extracts nutrients from there, it extracts water. The body extracts a lot of water from the colon when you're dehydrated. So another thing is the sleep, the recovery. Why this is important? The sleep is not only important for your mental health. During your sleep, your body recovers tissue. During the day, we have losses because we don't do everything right. As I said, we have a lot of stressors, and all this has an impact of the internal body. So at night, the body is at work to repair, redo, recover our tissues, our liquids, and etc. So it needs resources to do so, and it needs sleep in order to do so, because your immune system doesn't do much during the day. Mostly it works at night. As soon as you have cortisol in your blood, your immune system really goes down in this moment. They cannot coexist together in your blood flow, and it's very important, the adrenal glands, to release that hormone, because it keeps you awake and it keeps you active during the day. Another thing is the happiness, but I'll touch on it a little bit later when I talk about the mental side of us and mental side of stress. So, just to recap the physical part, we said that stress affects the body physically, and that's what I try to explain. What are the symptoms and how we should deal with them. Then before to go to the mental part, I would like also to mention that the body has a general state of perfection. We might not be perfect, but at this state, my body, Maria's body, knows that state in which I am, and it tries to maintain it every day. the body learns that Maria wants to be in this state. She does this nutrition, this movement, she does those things wrong, those things good, and the body tries to find the perfect balance, and it keeps me like that throughout the day. When a stress happens, could be physical, thermal, electromagnetic, physiological, whatever stress happens, the body, imagine like a ball that bounces back. The body tries to bring me back in the same state as it was before the stress. Perfect or not, it's perfect for my body at this moment. So when that stress happens very often, imagine heavy balls just bouncing off my body, hitting me and bouncing back, hitting me here, bouncing back, hitting on the back, bouncing back. So the body starts struggling, bringing back this body to that balanced stress. And it depletes resources more and more and more, and thus you start having symptoms because it cannot recover you. You start having, let's say, trouble swallowing or trouble breathing, because it recovers 1, 2, 3, 4, but it can't recover 5, 6, 7, and 8 because that stress continues to come. So this is what is happening, and I'm going to continue with the questionnaire. In the next part of this, with the evaluation of the central nervous system and the brain, I have questions that relate to things like difficulty absorbing new information, tend to forget things, easily distracted, for instance. Also, finishing tasks is easier said than done, and things like that, which are more on the mental side. Because when I mention task, I mean task is thinking and doing something on the computer, or just taking decisions, and this is more mental work than physical work. Never mind, the body works physically inside. So to target this impact of the stress over the body, my chart shows me that, yes, you see the blue line here, I need to target the upper zones, and they relate to the upper, right here, the upper chakras, because there we have the glands. And we start working on intuition. For instance, I very often ask my clients, I have suggestions for you, A, B, C, and D, but what is your gut telling you? Because the intuition is, yes, it is physically, it's in the gut. This is another theme. And the clients sometimes tell me, I like your suggestion, but I feel like doing something else. And then they become creative for their own personal legend, for their own self, for their own health, and they become their own gurus. I am just the instrument that tries to guide them, but they choose the path. And interestingly enough, especially in that zone number 6, is the creativity or the creative intelligence. It's the wisdom and the intuition. And also we are working on the cervical spine, usually up on the cervical spine and lower, but I work on the entire cervical spine because the mental stress relates there. Everyone knows very well that when we are stressed, we do this and we shorten the muscles around the cervical spine. It's very interesting to observe how when you work on the cervical spine, the shoulder girdle, the back of the small tiny muscles around the shoulder blades, you see how people start getting more relaxed and more in control of their stress. Look, the stress will not stop coming. Such is life. It is stressful. As soon as you have more than one person or two people in your surrounding, this is stressful. They share a lot of energies. Imagine if you have to get on a metro and go to work, how many people you're meeting, how many things are happening around that your mind has to register. This is very stressful. And a part of the physical approach with hydration, nutrition, movement, sleep, etc., we also have the mental approach of thoughts and breathing technique. Breathing is also physical action, but breathing also leads to this mental stress, the release of this mental stress. Also, I would like to say that in this area of the cervical spine, it's very interesting. What happens is when the stress of the lumbar spine is shown on the documents like on the write-ups of CT scan, MRI, etc., I'm always expecting a stress in the cervical spine. Did you see how I'm trying to close the circle now? The physical stress starts from the lumbar spine, hip area, pelvic floor, and then it reflects physically on the cervical spine as a mental stress. But we still have to work physically on the cervical spine to deal with the mental stress. And maybe it looks like a very complicated thing. Maybe it is. I'm trying to simplify it and to explain it to people so we understand each other, because I need clients' feedback. So back to the fibromyalgia. What happens in the fibromyalgia, because the pain and the stress is a lot here, somehow there is kind of a disbalance. It's less stress on the lumbar spine and the pelvic floor area, but more stress here, or maybe I'm mistaken, I don't know. We work on the insomnia, depression, anxiety, also eating disorders. But we start from the physical work on those, and then when the time comes, we start with the mental. People usually say, when I start the physical work, I feel my mental changes and I change mentally. And yes, this is true. And this is not a phenomenon. There is a physical, true scientific explanation of that, which part of it I tried to explain today for you. So managing of physical and mental stress is extremely important in every chronic health condition. But in fibromyalgia, because the nervous system is seriously damaged, that's why I chose to mention this physical condition, this chronic condition, and because also those symptoms are very typical for many conditions. And I want to give you an example. A lot of people with fibromyalgia, which I had consultations with, not necessarily they were my clients, reported that they have loose stools or diarrhea. And this is the case with many chronic health conditions. The reason why, as I said, everything starts in the hip pelvic area, and if the digestive system, where is your immune system as well, this is your barrier against the environment, the surrounding. it's barrier between the environment and your internal organs, your blood. The digestive system suffers in 99% of the diseases. If you don't have firm stool with good color and smell, yes, they're supposed to smell like grass, then you are in trouble. Your immune system is in trouble. And if you're not diagnosed with a disease now, you will be later. And mostly the loose stools are related to problems with the pancreas and the small intestines. You can live without kidney. A piece of your liver can be cut off and the liver will regrow it, at least to a certain degrees, but you cannot live without pancreas. And that's why I would encourage you to monitor your symptoms with whichever condition you are battling, even if you don't have a condition, to monitor your stools and to start your healing from there. Because as I tried to explain, the stress starts in the colon, the recovery starts suffering from the colon, and then the stress continues in your cervical spine and continues in your head and through the nervous system. Is like a dispatch system for the entire body. It collects information from the colon, from the glands, and then it spreads it and controls the body, controls your muscles, bones, your reflex. It controls the entire body, how you breathe, what is your blood pressure, and etc. So, this was my little life for today. Thank you for watching it. And if you have questions, you know where to find me in the Facebook group, on the YouTube channel. And just put a comment below and we'll get back to you. Or try to find me. I'll give you my phone number. I have Telegram, Viber, WhatsApp, Messenger. You can get in touch with me or just text me. It's 778-779-1203.